All right, Pablo, you've had some time. Oh!
Folks, we have breaking news from the world of basketball. Kawhi Leonard will not be playing for the USA basketball men's national team in the Olympics. That's according to USA Basketball. Shams Charania is reporting that Derek White will be his replacement on Team USA. So a third Celtic, not named Jaylen Brown.
That's wild. Why isn't Jaylen Brown playing?
Yeah,
It's pretty amazing.
I think
Their best player.
And for the player that's leaving, like Jaylen Brown seems like a more appropriate replacement for Kawhi Leonard than White.
He's choosing the Clippers over the flag.
What is Jaylen Brown saying right now?
Thank God they didn't call me.
Zagaki, he probably at the house like, thank you, bro. I want to chill. I don't feel like going to Paris. I want to lay up.
The statement says from USA Basketball, Kawhi has been ramping up for the Olympics over the past several weeks and had a few strong practices in Las Vegas. He felt ready to compete. However, he respects that USA Basketball and the Clippers determined it's in his best interest to spend the remainder of the summer preparing for the upcoming season rather than participating in the Olympic Games in Paris.
Horse hockey.
Do you get a medal if you showed up for a few days and practiced?
No. It's not like a ring that you get, World Series ring, for getting a day of service time. I think you have to be on the team that goes to Paris.
Okay.
Kawhi Leonard feels like one of those players that we're going to watch a highlight reel of in like 5 years and be like, oh, right, that guy, when he was healthy, was arguably as good as anybody in the entire sport.
Is he any better than Don Mattingly, Josh Johnson? Players?
The guys that got hurt that at their peak were great. I think the difference is that Kawhi led multiple teams to championships and was the focal point of those teams in a way where he dominated on both ends that we really haven't seen in this iteration of basketball outside of like LeBron in terms of being a two-way player leading a team to a championship.
I know the Josh Johnson that you just referenced, but I feel like a lot of people are like, who's he talking about? He's talking about the Marlins pitcher who at his peak was dominant and then he got hurt, but I just don't think that's a Marlins I don't think the nation
That's a great blind
I
spot.
don't think
Thank
they know.
you.
Yeah.
I'm talking about
He was
players who are
spectacular.
hurt. I'm talking about players who do not hit their potential because they're hurt too much.
Maybe Steven Strasburg would actually be a better comparison
That's a
in
great
that
one,
he
Jeremy.
actually reached those peaks and was one of the most dominant pitchers for several years, but never quite got to be the Hall of Fame dominant pitcher that everybody anticipated. And will still be a Hall of
That's a
Famer
great
more
one.
likely than
No.
not.
Strasburg?
But maybe.
No
and
way.
Just because of the peak. Well, it's different in the sport. Different
Kawhi
sport,
Leonard a
whatever.
Hall of Fame
He's a Hall of
basketball
Famer for
Absolutely.
sure.
Oh, Kawhi
Basketball's
Leonard
different though.
Is absolutely a Hall of Famer. He's also somebody who, again, in retrospect, we're going to realize, oh, that's why he was load managing.
Yep.
Like, that's why all of this happened, was because his knees were actually totally messed up, not because he was, afraid or lazy or didn't want to play 82 games.
The Kawhi thing's fascinating. He's going to be the person who's hurt the most by Basketball Reference when people look back at his stats in 20 years, because there was a legitimate period where you could argue he was best player in the NBA.
Yes.
There's going to be people, 2019, certainly.
Stop it, David.
There's also going to be people who watched it who are going to argue who is the second best forward of this generation. Was it Durant or was it Kawhi Leonard? And Durant will have every statistical accolade, and then our people, the people who complain about the back in my day, will be like, you didn't see it live.
Wait.
Kawhi was just as good.
But Durant is interesting to bring in this conversation because I also think like his career has been a little bit of an underachiever at this point. Like he's just moved around. Like other than when he was in Washington, he's never happy. He's an all-time great, but are we going to look at his career the way we look at other careers?
Golden State.
I know the
What'd I say?
Washington you speak of.
I meant Warriors.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Not Wizards. Grunfeld.
My bad. But other than that, like his career, it just feels like we think of him as outside of LeBron, the best of this generation, but it's just something feels off about his career.
He's one of the few players that I think, I made this point before on my show, is that he's one of the few players that I think has had an all-time great career, but also kind of feels a little disappointing. Like for that ability and that talent level, it's like we expected more, which it sounds stupid when you look at what he's accomplished, but you look at how talented he is. It's like,
It's like Brandon Roy and Derrick Rose. Like, dang.
Derrick Rose is a great one.
And Brandon Roy was
He's
gonna
an
be
MVP.
incredible.
does anyone care why exactly he's going home? Because the way that statement was made kind of
It seemed like it was Clippers that
Yeah,
had
it
to say
seemed
this.
like he got sent home and somebody made a call. It was like,
He shouldn't ever have been there, and that's what bothered me, is that now, after 2 practices, the Clippers have prevailed. The Clippers didn't want him there to start with. There's no way Ballmer, going into a new arena, wanted Kawhi Leonard there.
Having just lost Paul George.
So, to me, did they just convince him? I don't think it works that way.
I think that is a press release that made Kawhi Leonard look perhaps more valiant than the choice was actually in real life.
Dave
Daryl
Samson
Morey
knows a
should take
firing.
notes.
He knows a firing when he sees one.
Daryl Morey should take notes from the Clippers organization right now. Brother, your franchise is going to play in the Olympics right now. We just, like I said the other day, one eye and one leg the last time we saw you, bruh. We bringing PG-13 in.
Legitimately concerning.
If I'm a Sixers fan, I love that they just added Derek White. I want as many Celtics players as possible playing through the finals. Now the Olympics, they're going to be so exhausted by the time spring training comes. There's no way they're winning 67, 70 games next year in the regular season. Too tired.
So it is funny how sports, like the actual employers of these athletes, see and feel about the Olympics. Like the WNBA has an entire break. WNBA, Juju. Like the Olympic break, it happens during their season. Everybody takes time off because they realize we can't possibly do this. And I feel like if you're talking to any front office member, coach, president, and they have a little bit of truth serum in them, they're saying we don't like this in the least.
You don't need much truth serum to admit that.
I'd say, though, my guess is, and maybe it's different now for the owners, but at a certain point, while on the coaches and general managers level, it's why are our players going over there? I would guess that, especially globalization, most of the owners and commissioners like, please get over there and sell this game, which is why the WNBA comparison is probably an apt one.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, like David Stern was the big brain behind like the Dream Team in '92. It's what changed the league. And now you got to wonder if the leagues see the value or the upside in this in the present day.
They want it for themselves, which is why there's so much international play now. It's why you see the NFL trying to get not just London, which they feel like they own, and maybe they do, but they want Germany. They're going to keep going through Europe. Baseball wants to try to claim Asia and then South and Central America. Basketball wants to claim China. They're all putting down their tent poles. The Olympics used to be a tent pole moment. And we talked about this a little bit, where what do the Olympics mean now that the Cold War is over? There's no commissioner, no owners who need the Olympics to bolster the international status of their games. They do it themselves.
How do you feel about fighting Roger Goodell in various parts of the risk board of planet Earth?
He is extremely powerful because he's got enough owners who back every move he makes, and he does certain things that go against the owners who back him, and that is the sign of a powerful commissioner.
I think that when baseball comes near Roger Goodell looks back at them with a...
Hi, mob ho.
I would.
Good one, Mr. Thighs.
He is wearing a different set of open thigh shorts today. I was commenting on how great and vast his wardrobe is.
So people who are not on YouTube might be confused. I don't have on assless chaps. What the hell are open thigh shorts? I mean, I think you're looking for
assless chaps is open ass.
I know, but
open
when
thighs
you say,
is John Stockton shorts or open thigh shorts.
Those are, I would call those hoochie daddy shorts.
Short shorts.
Hoochie daddies, shorts, 6-inch inseam, something like that. Open thighs seem like just the thighs cut out, right?
That's a question for our sex therapist, I believe.
Oh yeah, she's coming up soon. Teach me how to Dougie.
Speaking of things that David has said and promised us throughout the week.
Hold on. You sound like you're doing a transition, which means that you need to be in this chair. Let me set a screen for you.
Let me
set a screen for you so you can get to the chair.
No!
Oh my goodness. David stole the chair.
Musical chairs winner.
David stole the chair.
Oh, wow.
Unplugged his headphones.
Problem is, David is more scared.
I just pulled my back.
Got up way too quick.
For those not watching a YouTube for the DraftKings Network, David Samson tried to sit in this chair of relatively normal height.
I would say he got
collapsed.
there. He got his butt in the chair.
and then
He
I
got
gave it
there,
in.
but I think he was
Couple things
concerned about
happened.
somebody else being close to his microphone because he's a germaphobe.
No, I actually couldn't find the hole fast enough.
Whoa, she's
Flip it.
coming later.
Yeah,
Relax,
sex therapist
man.
is showing up later,
That's
David.
later.
See, that's one. Dominique, let me help out a little bit.
Yeah, coach me out.
That's when you just could have let go. It's subtle. There've been a lot of sexual innuendo and references.
Are you trying to now make it seem like you've been intending to do everything you've been doing all week on purpose?
100. It's you of all people are really asking that question. Nuck what you buck.
Yeah, that was definitely intentional. David promised us a top 5 list. A list of the top 5 firings.
I'm gonna have to blow through this. I
Nah,
really don't
nah.
Flip it.
Not right now. I think we have a couple top 5 lists. I don't know if we'll get to Jeremy's top 5 list. Maybe
Ooh.
we have an in-room vote or something to see whose top 5 list we want to do next segment more, Jeremy or David. Jeremy, do you want to sell your
it.
top 5 list?
Sure. Because of the announcement of Shrek 5 coming out soon, one of my favorite songs ever is in Shrek 2. And so I came up with a top 5 songs written for movies that ended up being the artist's best song. Great. Thank you for that. Thanks. Thanks, Dominique.
We're gonna do a Democratic vote, and I think I know this is like when you just cheered loudly for that, but wait till my top 5, Juju.
Yes, sir.
I think you're gonna genuflect slightly more toward here. I'm gonna give you my top 5 firings and why, and why they were so awesome.
I want to hear that one too. I don't want to hear mine. That sounds great.
Exactly.
That's the better one. You set me up
Wait,
for failure.
you're giving up already?
Yeah, that's so much better. Mine's
That's
fine. We can do that
disappointing,
anytime. I
Dominique.
get it. Maybe we'll get to it later in the show, but I got to hear that next segment. That's really good.
I thought you were setting up a true competition where I had a chance to win.
Bro, we've
You
been
did win.
We've been tight all show. I've been looking out for you. I was setting you up for an easy dub. I was matching you up against the mismatch that we had. That's why I set these screens. We created a switch. Got you on Jeremy.
If Batman Forever isn't on Jeremy's list, I'm going to be pissed.
That's a win for everyone. The matchup with me, you're coming out on
I
top.
got right past Jeremy there. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty easy for
Super
you.
happy about that.
Mismatch. Now on iTunes. By
Big
Juju
time.
Gotti.
Two
Check it out.
65ers.
Check it out.
That's right. It's time for
Against the Spread.
It is brought to you by our friends at DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear all about what DraftKings has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Let's start with Jeremy Taché. What do you got?
We were talking about Kids Day in the WNBA. The Aces are at the Storm today, but the Aces are favored by 4. I'm going to take the Las Vegas Aces -4.
Against the Spread.
I'm going to stay in the W. The Atlanta Dream, my Atlanta Dream, are going to Chicago to face my Chicago Sky. I think the Chicago Sky, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, Young Ken, and Barbie will get the job done. The spread is 7.5. I'm taking the Chicago Sky
Against the Spread.
Charlie's maiden voyage on Against the Spread.
And this voyage is going across the pond to Wimbledon. Carlos Alcaraz
Alki.
in the semifinals
King
against Daniil
Los.
Medvedev. -4.5 games in this spread. Too much variety. The drop shot, able to spread the court wide. He's going to beat Medvedev in straight sets. The -4.5, lock it in.
Against the Spread.
He'll bring us home.
And I'm going to bring it back to the WNBA. I got a feeling about this one. I'm going to take the Washington Mystics +7 over the Indiana Fever.
Charlie's team.
Wow.
I think it's because Charlie's in town. There's just something about Washington I'm feeling. And that -7 for Indiana, they did have a big win this weekend where they beat the New York Liberty. So Liberty kind of dismissively said this was their Super Bowl. What's going on, David? You okay?
Against the Spread.
Keep going. on, Billy. I love it.
That's it. The end.
But is David okay?
Yeah,
You
no,
okay? You good?
I
He
thought
was
you
checking on me because I had my mouth open. I was waiting for the A.
We were trying to
Flip it.
go with against. We were prepared. We were ready. And then Billy had another thought, and we were trying to see if we could hold our breath long enough before doing
It's
it. At least
private
that's what I was
conversations
doing.
while I'm talking.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's really
Okay.
disrupting the show.
To be honest with you.
Of course, you cut off the WNBA analysis. Shame on you, misogyners.
Love it.
Not one baseball pick in an entire row.
I'm not allowed to bet on baseball.
those
part of the
against
broadcast.
those spreads in
Valleys.
baseball. I hate the spreads in
Baseball's
baseball.
always minus one
Minus
and a
one and a
half.
half. I hate it's a
You
sucker's
like
bet.
minus 4.5 games in a tennis match?
I like it more than those damn run lines in baseball.
We just love Los.
Is that you assume that Alcaraz will get to 18?
No. That'll be total games. This is in the sets wins. Win. It's not winning in tiebreakers. It's like winning 6-4, 6-4. I guess 6-4, 6-4, 7-6 would be minus 4.5 games.
So it's over the course of the sets that he wins, or if he wins in 4 sets, does he get a minus?
Yes.
Coulda
When
just
he
let it
loses
go,
Total
David.
spread of
6-4, do
games.
you lose too?
Yeah, total spread of games.
I'm trying to teach people.
Against the spread against.
Do we not want to teach people how to bet tennis?
Pablo, you're back in the big chair. Grab the wheel, doggy.
The top 5 people David Samson has fired.
I do have a list of that. I spent some time on this because you asked me to.
Thank you, sir.
Do you
And
have
I've thought back to my whole career.
Do you have OLIs or a straight 5?
Outside looking in.
I don't know what I.
So, like,
do
if
you-
there's
do you
more
have
than
it-
5.
So do you have more than 5? So sometimes,
I had to cut it down.
Oh boy.
yeah.
Well, doesn't everyone
So,
who does a top
This
5
is
have
just
to
a.
cut?
This
You
is
don't
a,
get
yeah,
the
this is a- you don't get the show.
How do we not?
I
David, you do the
I
show
don't get
every
it.
week. You don't know how the show works.
Never mind.
I'm okay to admit when I don't get something.
Number 5.
Jeff Torborg. I got a story for you on the Jeff Torborg firing. Jeff Torborg was our manager in Montreal. He moved with us to Florida. He was only hired as the manager because our owner made us hire him because he was a personal friend, and we fired Felipe Lou to bring in Jeff Torborg. But Jeff Torborg made us hire all of his kids, which is absurd. Can you imagine firing your kids to work with you?
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
nuts.
no one would ever do that. And so his kid, one of them was a wrestler.
Yeah, Dale Torborg.
Yes. Why do you know that?
I just know things, man. I don't
So the benefit of firing Jeff Torborg is that we also got to fire Dale Torborg. They both got to go, and having Torborg gone, it was a dream come
That
true.
makes me think of an important question. Jordan or Torborg?
Number 4.
Dale Torborg was like a knockoff Kiss wrestler.
Yeah, well, I looked him up. He's the Kiss Demon,
Yes.
the MVP, the Demon, and also his last ring name was Dale Torborg.
That's his actual name. Number 4, a pitching coach named Brad Arnsberg. He had to be chased. When we went to fire him, he would not allow himself to be fired because he thought he was untouchable because of his relationship with the owner, but it was a power struggle we won to get him fired. Had to be chased.
Physically, like
Physically,
literally.
literally chased in order to get him fired.
So it was like you're serving somebody, like like they were trying to hide.
Gotcha.
I need the visual of where this chase is happening. Is it like through the tunnels
No,
of the
it was
stadium?
in a parking lot. A parking lot.
And are you jogging at some point in this chase?
So I wasn't the chaser.
Okay, yeah, you have someone chase for you, of course.
Yeah, I don't want to be that. I'm the team president. I'm not chasing anyone.
But you enjoy the firing so much, I thought
Oh,
maybe you might
yes.
get your hand in the
It
dirt
was
for this.
so-
And you like running.
You know what,
so
I got
it's a
this
perfect fit.
Can you imagine?
Bad boys back.
Imagine it's like it's like the police officer or the bounty hunter who's like, "Oh yeah, this is what I'm here for."
Gotcha.
It's more like the security
thrill of the
people
hunt.
when someone runs on the field.
Yeah.
Can I raise a related but separate Marlins person being chased story? Because I'm on Dale Torborg's Wikipedia page,
Sounds
and it
dangerous.
says Torborg later served as a strength and conditioning coach for the Florida Marlins during his father's tenure as a manager from 02 to 03. He made news when if you can put him on, if you can show the Kiss Demon, the Kiss Demon Dale Torborg made news when he scared Marlins pitcher Antonio Alfonseca into hiding in a trainer's room after Alfonseca swore at him in Spanish while refusing Torborg's request for a weigh-in. Does that feel
Yeah,
right?
there was a lot of stuff under Torborg that wasn't great. Alfonseca, for people who don't know, had extra digits. Shake his hand, you get a little tickle. He had an extra pinky.
Would it actually tickle you?
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, because my hand, I have a very small hand.
Yeah.
So when you
Extra ticklish.
there's no correlation, by the way. So when you shake a hand, you get the little tickle.
We're gonna ask the sex therapist
About pickle tickle.
not that part.
Number 3, Billy the Marlin.
Sorry, I was a little rattled there.
Here's how this went. I asked a very simple question when I got to Florida. Why does it matter who's under a mascot costume? Why is he paid so
Costume?
much? Billy the Marlin's a costume. There's a person under it.
No. I don't think that's true, brother. There's a lot of people who listen
the
to
kids
the show
listening.
that drive around with people in their cars that may not know that information. So I don't think
Just a
that's
Marlin.
true.
Yeah,
it's just a
It's
Marlin.
a real Marlin, bro.
But theoretically,
You're
in this
accusing me
example,
of a spoiler alert for that mascots are not real?
There's just
they
you don't
are.
say certain things aren't real, like the big guy around the 25th. It's just we got a lot of listeners that listen with their.
I want to
I'm
respect the
wrong. Screw
audience.
me. I'm wrong.
oh, but I do want to hear the story.
So what
You
happened?
fired Billy the Marlin.
And he was a long time. He was the guy.
Right.
And we realized that we can get another guy who we pay way less money to. And because the older guy was doing side hustles with Billy the Marlin, taking Billy to parties and taking Billy to various places and getting paid money with our mascot. And we said, no, the rules are changing. And he said, no, this was part of my old deal. And we said, well, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Axel F. That's
Damn, bruh.
that's a
that was a
mix.
good
That's actually
firing.
you
gotta get
actually
his
made the
ass
right
up outta
choice.
there. Right.
That's pretty crazy.
So, and by the way, the guy who became Billy the Marlin had a huge, long career and was fantastic at it. Number 2, Ron Book. Ron Book may be someone that none of you know. Ron Book was a lobbyist, a very, very famous lobbyist here in Florida, who was hired by John Henry to help get a new stadium. When we got to Florida, we got rid of every single lobbyist. We fired them all. Ron Book was so angry that we fired him that he made it his he made it his lifelong passion to make sure that we never got a stadium built. He became our sworn enemy because we took him off the payroll where he was getting paid money to not get a stadium done, basically. And when we let him go, when I let him go, I remember it well. Bless his heart. I don't even know if he's alive anymore, but I will tell you that getting rid of him made me happy.
How did you do it? Like, this feels like this one.
I said, I'm doing it myself.
Did you have like did you have a special line for the people that you were most excited about letting go? Did you have like a movie style line that you would say, and see you later?
No. See you later, alligator.
I don't know. I was trying
No,
to
I
think
was way more professional.
Ron
Shake
Book-
his hand, you get a little tickle.
is that what you would do? Or I know what it was. I know what you did. You probably hit him with a knuck with you buck on the way out the door.
I definitely didn't do that.
Ron Book is alive, so he hasn't gone through that door yet, thankfully.
Thankfully, I don't wish him death. Knuck what you buck. Not him. Not to get paid. Okay, and the number 1 best firing that really, really made me happy was Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi, we gave him his chance to be a first-time manager in 2006. He was a nightmare from the beginning, and it was all about his kids and having them around. It was all about his coaches, Bobby Meacham and Gary Tuck, and all of these people he demanded to be surrounded with. He was disrespectful to Larry and to Mike and to myself, and we knew we were going to get him, and we got him good.
Well, you got him twice, didn't you?
Well, the first time we didn't want to get him. The first time was Jeffrey. In the middle of a game, we had to go down. It was a Sunday afternoon when Mr. Laurier came into our box and said, fire Girardi right now, because Girardi had yelled at him.
And this was as he was on his way to winning Manager of the Year.
Yes. So we sent our kids home because we knew we were going to be in the office late. We fired Girardi after the game. The players did a mutiny. We rehired Girardi. That's the one time a player mutiny worked. So we rehired him.
I mean, not the only time.
And then fired him at the end of the season. And when we fired him, I remember looking right into his eyes and saying, goodbye, Joe.
What was the tension?
You're
What
fired.
was the tension when the players actually fought back and you guys were like, all right, fine, we'll hire him back? What was that
It
tension
was
like?
a disaster because that season was a bunch of young guys. And we didn't want to empower any of the young players on the team. And Joe had made it his business to do an us against them. and you're showing him as the manager, and he didn't have a bad rap. He then went on to manage the Yankees to a title.
I would like to request they clip it on we didn't want to empower any young players on the team. I don't know. I don't need it for the show. I just need it for my personal collection of bullshit that I've heard. Okay, thank you. Just personal. When I to get me fired up for my workout, I would like to listen to some foolishness like that. It's just, I'm going to lift something serious that day. And other times mutinies have worked. I think, was it 1952? The NBA
bounty?
All-Star? No,
Oh, sorry.
the NBA All-Star game, right? That was it. I think, yeah.
When you were facing your player mutiny, David, do you remember who was like the ringleader of the players?
See if you can find Dontrell and ask what Dontrell thought about it.
Are you sure it wasn't?
Brad! No. Don't make light of a player mutiny. It was very uncomfortable. And we were okay with it because we didn't want to fire him that minute. We knew we were going to get him at the end
Oh
of the
yeah,
year.
you wanted
sure.
to be mutinied, definitely.
But when you hire him back, do you give him a little? This isn't gonna last long. You're back, but
Just a whisper
I
in
would,
the ear.
I would like to hear about
We
the
told
conversation.
him the truth. We said the reason.
September 30th.
We said,
I see dead people.
like in the field. No, we told him the truth, which was, you win. The players did not want you gone, and just don't do that ever again to Jeffrey for the rest of the season, and we will make sure you don't get fired till the end of the season.
1964 was the All-Star Game strike, I think, that the basketball players went on. And it's how they got
What were they going after?
pension, I believe. Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah, it was big. So you guys are evil.
People
God.
don't realize how important pension is.
I got an idea.
You know who does realize
People don't, huh?
it? Yeah, people don't.
Nick
least-
Cirillo does.
Nick
And-
Cirillo knows how important the pension is.
And his brother.
Do you all? Do you get a pension here at Meadowlark?
That's a good question.
You don't know? Do you
Yes, we do.
not know?
I've never
I'm
signed a
just
piece of
gonna say
paper
yes.
here, so
I'm
I don't know if
speaking
I actually work here.
walking by faith, not by sight.
And that's my top 5. There's so many more. The thing is in sports, and everyone you've worked with in management has a top 5. Everyone's fired people. You're hired to be fired.
Okay, yeah.
Do you dispute the fact that there are many firings that take place in sports?
No, of course, yeah. I've had to fire people. I think you have openly said that you enjoy firing people.
I enjoy firing people who
people.
deserve to be fired, and that's a distinction that
So
people.
this was top 5 based on the ones that you enjoyed the most, or just top 5 most interesting? Because the last one was really interesting.
I actually found these as a combination. I wanted to do this top 5 list, and the way I pared it down from OLI was that there were ones that were required. There were ones that I didn't want to do, but the owner did. Like I could have put Larry Beinfest on here. But that one was terrible for me. I didn't want that to happen. So these are ones that I wanted to happen, or there was a good story attached.
What about when you got fired?
It's a great one.
Yeah.
But I didn't do that firing. I thought these were ones I misunderstood. I thought the top 5 were ones that I
That's
did.
fine. It's whatever you want it to be, but
I didn't mind. Listen, otherwise I wouldn't be here with you in chair 3.
Jeremy Tachet's top 5 list
let's do it.
of songs that came from movie soundtracks.
This is going to be very unsurprising, but it's a very white list. OLI, What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish for the Barbie. Very good song. The only reason it's OLI is because I'm not sure it's actually her best song. She has a lot of bangers. Another OLI, New York, New York by John Kander and Fred Ebb. They also wrote the musicals Cabaret and Chicago, so again, tough to decide that it's their best song. Thank you. We can keep it going on that.
I'm confused. You're making this list, and the first 2 don't qualify for the
That's
list.
why they're OLI. They're great songs. They're made for movies.
You don't
but they're
understand
OLI.
what OLI means, just like
all right.
David.
Number
OLI
5.
is stuff that could be on the list, but wasn't
Could
quite
have been on
good
the
enough.
list.
Did
Sounds
you-
like you
you're
just
saying
wanted
on
to
those.
talk about those 2 songs.
I did.
those-
I really
those
just wanted
are
to
just
bring those in there.
O's.
All right, fine.
Did you skip another OLI?
No.
Okay.
Number 5, Night Fever by the Bee Gees for Saturday Night Fever. Number
Kinda have
4,
like a BG inflection on that falsetto.
Eye of the Tiger by Survivor for Rocky.
Can't argue with that one. It's a good one.
I didn't love White Guy and You on that one, but I mean, it's still.
Do you think he's going to go Eric Carmen?
I did not
on the
know.
outside?
I didn't know that was made just for Rocky.
It was made for
Interesting.
Rocky.
It was the theme, I believe, for Rocky.
Number 3, the reason this list was created, Accidentally in Love by the Counting Crows for Shrek 2. Love that song.
It's not their best song.
Could argue colorblind. I think it's better than Mr. Jones. I do. I genuinely believe it's
Jones and me.
not better than that. But it is better than Mr. Jones.
That was a
Number 2,
falsetto.
Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds for the Breakfast Club.
That's a-
And number 1, for the City of Angels, Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
Why are you playing it for that?
It's a good song. I don't know. I'm just.
Yeah, it had to be a really white list. I'm me.
I mean, Waiting to Exhale. You didn't never listen to that soundtrack.
Sorry, what?
Fire. Sunset
Oh,
Park got a great soundtrack.
Kiss from a Rose?
Not written for Batman Forever. That's a
wasn't?
single that was featured in Batman Forever. There's a difference here, Pablo. You gotta
you're
learn the
stickler.
list.
Now you're a stickler.
Songs written for movies, not just primarily featured in a
I'm
movie.
not a huge Billie Eilish fan, but is it established that Barbie song is her best song?
No, that's kind of why I kept it on the OLI. I wanted to mention it.
It's a great song.
It's a beautiful song.
What about the James Bond song she wrote and won an Oscar for?
No, that was Adele, was it not?
That was Adele.
What about See You
Skyfall?
Again?
Yeah.
Are you
Skyfall's a
telling me
great
that
song.
Billie
That
Eilish-
actually maybe should have been on the list.
Yeah, that may honestly that was a good
What
one.
about See You Again, the Wiz Khalifa song for Paul Walker?
Is that his best song?
Oh, that I forgot.
What about
about
Lose
that.
Yourself?
All-time
Forgot about
C.
that caveat.
Oh, Lose
Lose
Yourself.
Yourself?
Won an Oscar.
It's a good one.
All-time scene though, like when the
a good
cars
one.
are driving
Yeah.
away. Oh.
Yeah.
Dude.
Oh, I cried.
Still qualifies for your list.
No, Lose Yourself is a good one.
I think it's a beautiful thing that we criticize people's lists because of their own taste.
No.
It's very bothersome to me.
No.
You
Yeah,
have
this
to be
was very
allowed to
clearly
have
just
a-
my taste.
which is fine.
Yeah.
My top 5s are my taste too. I don't need you to agree with my top list of 100 movies.
Oh man, I gotta explain everything to you.
Okay, go ahead. I'm taking notes. What did I do wrong now,
So,
Chair 2?
It's not that what you're doing wrong. It's that you don't get. I was gonna say you don't get the show, but you don't get the industry. Like the whole point of a top 5 list is to make people mad and to drum up interest. Like that is the joke that we're making on the Le Batard Show. So when they present a top 5 list, if we are not going to criticize it, then we are not completing the joke that's being made on the top 5 list.
I think you're being a bit of an AI. A bit of an audience insulter. I think the audience doesn't require fighting the whole time.
Do you guys have a movie or something that's made you feel old? Because I've had 2 instances recently, and this is somewhat related to Jeremy's list, where I heard young professionals talking about something, and I was like, yeah, I'm old. Like, I'm too old. And it was 2 different instances. It was the exact same topic, and I don't know how it came up both times. But one time I was like in a waiting room, and it was 2 people that worked as like, medical facility. And it was 2 young professionals talking about the best Shrek movie. And they were comparing Shrek 4 and Shrek 3. And I was like, yeah, I'm old. Like, because that's a kid's movie. And you guys are seemingly adults,
We were kids.
professionals here. And you're discussing which part of Shrek 4 was your favorite part and how excited you are about Shrek 5 and how you want to get the new Shrek things to put on your Crocs. And I'm like, okay, I'm really old. And I thought this was an isolated incident. And then I encountered another Shrek conversation in another professional setting. And I was like, yeah, this is just a thing that now young professionals talk about, is they compare their favorite Shrek movies.
This has to be this week because Shrek 5 was just announced.
No, this was last week. They were talking about rumors of Shrek things that they had been reading online. This was probably like a month and a half ago this happened.
We young people love Shrek.
There are stages of like realizing you're old, and I think that when people who you consider to be adults are talking about things in their childhood, but you are a grown-ass man for, that is a new level of old manness that you have reached. And I'm there too, where it's very weird when you see someone who's like 25 or like 33 talking about their childhood, and you're like, I was in college.
So like the first Shrek came out, I guess when I was a teenager, right? But like I still was like, that's like a child's movie.
I saw Shrek 2 for my 9th birthday party.
Do you think it happened with
That was
Beverly Hills
amazing.
Cop, the new one, where 40 Years was the first one? Are there people who are going to see this one on Netflix because everyone's watching it, and are they going to not realize
I think it's not an enjoyable movie if you have not seen the other ones, because like the movie is all nostalgia.
I think it could stand alone. Like if you're unaware of those things and you're watching it, like it's a good enough action movie.
Yeah, I
like
guess.
it's fine.
I think
They do make references too, like when they go and they look at his, like, oh, I was looking at your file. The first one, there's an entry here in 1984, and then 1987, and then 1991 wasn't as good or something like that.
That was a total cut of Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yeah, 100%.
And that was awesome. And they have Judge Reinhold going in his trunk with all his weapons, complimenting his weapons. They had the little picture of Taggart in the back of Reiser's office.
This is my point exactly, is I think that this movie is largely mediocre at best, unless
That's what I thought,
unless you get all the stuff that's like that's
I
the
got
best
it
part.
all, and it was still mediocre.
Yeah, it wasn't a great movie.
All of those movies were released before I was born.
I think spoiler alert, flying a helicopter 2 feet off the ground because he's afraid to fly is great.
Good bit.
Every single Beverly Hills Cop movie you were not alive
Beverly
for?
Hills Cop 3 came out May 25th, 1994. I was born in 1995.
That is the number one example of
That's an
feeling
example,
old
yeah.
just there.
No, I mean the 9/11 in general has happened a few times where I've been around young people who are like have no recollection of, like, I was a baby. I don't.
Well,
even
that was
remember.
like
It's like I was in college. I was a freshman in
It
college.
was a not funny meme, but it was when I was like in college age. It was a thing of like, if she doesn't remember 9/11, she's too young for you, bro. Because
Half
for those
plus
of us
7.
born in the 90s, like, we remember it. I was a kid. I remember being taken out of elementary school when it happened, and the whole thing. But I don't.
I'm
remember
sorry. Did we
much.
go from Shrek 5 to 9/11?
Yeah, we did.
With a reference of how young you can't do Belichick. He violates the half plus 7 rule.
I've never heard this rule. I heard you say that, but I didn't get it. I've never heard this rule.
So you're allowed to date someone half your age plus 7 years.
The original Shrek was released May 18th, 2001. So just a few months before said day we were talking about.
So take half of 56, 28. 28 plus 7 is 35. I
Chris
can't go
Farley was
below
supposed to be
35.
Shrek originally?
Thank you.
Are you just like dating someone and you did the math to make it work out
Yeah,
for
I
you?
think he made
No,
this equation up
no.
for himself.
This is a question for a sex therapist. Coming up. So at long last, our special guest of the day is April Lambert. April, I just want to apologize on behalf of everybody who may have already been pre-interviewing you, because I've been told some things that I don't want to co-sign just off the jump here. So thank you for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me today on the show.
So I have to be honest, this was my idea, April, and I am not always on this show. So there was a few weeks ago where I was listening to this show and I heard this sound.
I win in the margins. I'm like,
You're Moneyball of sex?
I'm basically Scott Hatterberg.
A lot of
for
walks, lot of walks, but I'm on base.
Other dudes, they can be Giambi.
You know your role, you play well?
I know my role.
So I don't know how much you know about sports, but there's a bunch of guys who are completely comfortable with being mediocre. And I was like, next time I'm on the show, we got to address this. And I suspect that it's not just the people who are on this show, that a lot of people in our audience also are pretty mediocre when it comes to making people happy. So I figured we'd have you on to help us. So can we start with this? I'm asking for a friend, by the way, clearly. Obviously, I'm asking for a friend. What is the thing that guys generally get most wrong about trying to satisfy their partners?
This is a great question, and I'm really happy that you asked. So when we're talking about straight partnerships, the facts are the numbers never lie. The facts are out there, and 95% of men, when they have sexual activity with their woman, 95% of those people are coming. They're orgasming, right? Mm-hmm. But only 65% of the straight women are having the same experience, meaning they can climax. So what does that mean? There's this percentage of folks out there that are with their partners trying to please their woman and nothing's coming out of it. Well, why? I can tell you why. It's because the clitoris, which is what women own, right? It's the pleasure center, and it's the only body part that either of us have, that any one of us have, that is designed simply for pleasure. So only 4% of women can orgasm from penetration alone. So 96% of us need some clitoral love. And I think that's what happens. And that's the breaking point with dudes, this orgasm gap that it's kind of a buzz term that's thrown around a lot. But this is legitimately the issue. And blood flow is the key Blood flow is the key here, and the clitoris needs blood flow. So that means it needs some love before you just sticking it in.
April Lambert has been named the industry sexpert of the year multiple times, the co-author of the book Shameless Sex, Choose Your Own Pleasure Path to Unlock the Sex Life You've Been Waiting For. April, you mentioned the clitoris, asking for a friend. How does one find that?
Okay, so the good news is it's not that difficult. The bad news is every single person is different. Some people have a Rubik's Cube when it comes to their vulva. And let's get two things out of the way here. I'm not saying Volvo like the car. I'm talking about a vulva. Now, vagina, everybody thinks of as what the vulva is. So when I'm talking about the vulva, that's the outside, okay? The vagina is what you put your penis inside, okay? So that's just basic anatomy. The clitoris is on the vulva. Sometimes it's tucked inside. Sometimes it is noticeable outside, but it's between the two lips that are sometimes squished together. And the good news is if there's blood flow and arousal, the clitoris usually comes alive and you can see it more.
Here's my issue, if we can just get to it in a few seconds.
not for a friend?
No, this is straight for me.
Okay.
My issue is that I have a hard time waiting the time it takes to pleasure a woman because I can be much faster and I've got other stuff I want to be doing. So my issue is, what is the way, without thinking of your grandmother, to make it last longer?
Okay.
It's legitimate.
Practice. It's a total legitimate question. And there's all of these. There's a lot of these. I've seen like power pills, right? Like last longer, keep your dick harder, longer, faster. Which I obviously I don't own a penis, so I can't vouch for those things. I do know that there is some efficacy when it comes to some of these pills. But if you don't want to pop a pill, because that's not really safe, you don't know what you're getting. There's a lot of variations of things, and there is Viagra, but Viagra and Cialis, and I'm not going to shame those pharmaceuticals because I know they are effective for some folks. However, some people want that real hardness without popping a pill. So there are some things you can use, like cock rings that you can fit around the testicles and the shaft, and they kind of. Do you know what the perineum is? The gooch, the taint.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, wait.
Not your
Follow-up
ass,
question
not
for a
your,
friend.
Not your balls.
Follow-up
Yes.
for a friend. Is that the same as the grundle, or is that different?
That is, so it depends on where you're located in the United States and what you'd like to call it. Yeah. I've learned that the East Coast calls it the gooch. West Coast calls it the taint. In the middle, they could call it the grundle. I'm not sure, but that's a good stat to learn later on. It's also something that I think that don't wrestlers wear those, or bikers too. So bringing it back though.
Thank you.
Like different devices there are out there, and they can also help pleasure your partner, your female partner, pleasure your woman, because it'll constrict blood flow. Kind of, you could get a double motored cock ring that isn't aggressive looking. That's not going to be scary. That's not going to be like, what is this thing? And you put it on, and then when you start to get blood flow to the penis, you're feeling the vibrations of the C ring, and then your partner, if she's grinding on you, can also feel the vibrations. Now, remember something else about the clitoris that I didn't mention. And this might be a little bit hard to wrap your head around because it is such a mystery, the clitoris.
Proceed.
Yes, a lot of this information wasn't even discovered until like the 90s. That's how long it took. So the clitoris, when we look at it, it actually, from the outside, you can only see, and I wish I had a vulva puppet, but I don't. But I'll use my fingers. Like, think of a wishbone. And what you see on the outside, on the vulva of the clitoris, is only about a quarter of the actual entire membrane. And did you know that the clitoris is made up of the same erectile tissue as what you all have? So we can get clitoral boners when that blood flow starts. And the rest of the clitoral legs are located inside the vaginal canal. So if you want to give your partner a clitoral boner, and I know that you said you're busy, you want things to happen fast. Well, it takes 4 times the amount of time for a woman to get the blood flow they need to get aroused. And foreplay is the most important part of sex. Dude, you have to understand. You need to have the patience and the time. Now, if you just want to, you could just have if you talk to your partner and you're like, okay, I want a quickie. Well, then watch them masturbate after, or help them. And don't just get out of the bedroom.
Yes, Dominique.
You're welcome.
April.
Write it down. I do want to be we haven't been completely inclusive as far as sexual preference, but men are stupid, so it's not that hard. Two men together, I feel like it's really not that hard to get each other in the right place. But from a women's standpoint, this is
We have the manual for that.
Yeah, I mean, we know what we're doing when it comes
The
to that.
manual.
I like that one.
This might be a bit of a silly question, but as a sports fan and a sports broadcaster, we kind of celebrate the type of athletes who have like a special go-to move. And every now and then I try something new or I'm looking for a new move.
Yeah, my friend does that too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Asking for a friend. Are there new moves that you could teach us that we haven't potentially experimented with?
Okay, so I don't know what y'all are doing. You can send me videos if you want later. But I would say trying new things is always fun because don't just missionary style all the time. Come on, no, we're not monotonous creatures. We get bored easily, right? Humans need novelty. They always need something fresh. So, is there a specific move? So this is going to be something that I like. Always doggy styles is a good way to go. But then you could have the old reach around the doggy style and reach around and feel the clit or ask first. Don't just do things without permission. Be like, hey, can I feel your clit? Because doggy style can feel great. That might be a typical one. But what about adding some extra gear, like some fun gear? Like ask if your partner wants to be spanked a little bit, or add some like restraints that obviously consensual, because that can take away. When you take away one of the senses, like whether it's a blindfold, whether it's use of the arms, always remember to have consent. Everyone, I'm not saying just tie up your chick and then just go for it. No, ask if she's into this, and that can kind of leave such a wide canvas for you to paint with different positions.
I have a friend who can't smell or taste, so that is a pretty good head start.
Oh, there you go.
Take away a sense.
Do you know who Dr. Ruth
yeah.
is, April?
Of course, I love
Is
Dr.
she your
Ruth.
mentor?
She was just a goat, right? She really what she overcame in the world of sexuality, which is still such a thing. Like, look, it's fun to talk to you guys about this, but it's still like giggly and sometimes taboo. When I say like gooch or cock rings, people are like, whoa, they can get overwhelmed. I think she was just amazing. Now she was like grandma, right? She's like sweet old grandma. She was gonna like take a pie out of the oven and then tell you about her favorite dildo, and you're like, okay. So I would say, in terms of mentorship, yes, Dr. Sex with Emily, she's like one of my dearest friends and probably my biggest mentor in terms of this field. This field found me. I studied law, right? I never expected to be teaching the world about sex and relationships. I feel really honored, though, that I get to talk to you guys about this. You guys are fun.
I'm quite thankful you're doing this because there's such a stigma. All men are so macho, pretending they don't have problems, pretending.
Lots of my friends have stigmas.
They're getting laid all the time, and I love the fact that you're willing to come on a show like this, and I love the fact that we have the flexibility to do this. I hope the audience appreciates it. But I have one quick question, and we don't have a lot of time left.
She joined a show like this.
A very quick question.
You got it. You got it, April.
What is exactly your view of monogamy?
Okay, so this is a hot topic right now, right? People are talking about ethical non-monogamy, opening relationships up. I am
1 minute or
monogamous.
less, I need to hear you.
Okay, so I'm a monogamous person for now. So remember that sexual orientation, relationship styles, all of those things can change. They're fluid. So I think that if you can do non-monogamy in an ethical or consensual way, and I know that word's so often thrown around as well, so don't tune out. But if you can do it with a partner that's like, well, I'm bored too. You don't have to say it like that, but I'm curious, because opening up a relationship doesn't necessarily have to be going out and banging someone. It can be people can have emotional relationships. They can have sexual relationships digitally. People sometimes think a sex doll is cheating, right? So I would say I'm not pro cheating. I know it can happen. Sometimes relationships they go really, really far south and there's no way to get out except adding some spice, and there's nothing that you can do in the bedroom to get out of that rut. There are things if both parties want to work on it. But yes, so as far as I'm not going to preach non-monogamy, do whatever feels good for y'all, okay?
April Lambert, we thank you for your expertise, author of the book Shameless Sex, And again, I apologize for everything, literally everything David Samson just said. So as you might imagine, we are very mature and in no way have been having a side private conversation about the conversation we just had. David Samson just asked me if I have a cock ring.
Is that a personal question?
It's worse.
Hold
I think
on.
that's worse than are you having a second kid?
Did you just say, is that a personal question?
I just admitted that I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I'm okay. Why is it
not-
is it so hard
It's-
to admit when you don't know something?
David, it's not admitting that you don't know something, but I feel like you are you don't think asking someone if they have, okay.
A C ring, actually.
Can we do show awards again? Show awards! Yeah!
I'm going to start with you, Dominique.
Okay.
Because you took a chance with the guest. You were worried, and she ended up being a phenomenal part of the show and added value.
Yeah, she was great. April Lambert was great.
But what was the award?
April.
Yeah,
I would like to give an award.
The Balls Award.
Can I give an award to April Lambert,
Yes, she was great.
co-owner of the sex toy startup Hot Octopus, which has invented the world's first guy braider? I want to award April Lambert the I told David Samson to buy a cock ring award.
Yeah.
Half plus
Good
7.
award.
C ring.
C
by the way.
rings.
Can I give Pablo an award?
Oh.
The
That's how this
happiest
works.
person to say cock ring award goes to Pablo because he's going to beat that into the ground.
I see what you did there.
I want to give David Samson award for the Unsung Hero Award because David Samson wanted to be in that main chair. And he found a way to be a contributor.
Team player.
Despite
First
the
team
fact-
all side chair.
His first team all side chair. I'd like to give Jeremy an award too. Jeremy Mustache Award.
Hey,
We were all thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't reference it, and it's beautiful. I love
you.
it, and it pairs well with the pearl necklace. It's a good
thank
look.
you very much. I appreciate that.
I have another award. I'd like to give Billy Gill an award for the person who literally got up out of his chair at one point during the interview we just did with April Lambert in order to avoid me making eye contact to ask him, do you have a question you want to ask the sex therapist?
What award is that called? I don't know what that's called.
It's called the crime
Award.
mob, ho.
I'm not sure Billy was avoiding. Were you avoiding that interview? Were you concerned in any way? Because
I believe
Juju
he literally
yesterday-
hid behind the desk at one point.
So I was wondering, was it correlated to when she was using sexual words or talking about things? What made you disappear into a shell of yourself?
It's a good question. Not exact. I think today we're gonna find the line. Today we find where the line is. I think. We'll all find out together, I guess.
I will say
Find the line awards.
that if this was the line, then we don't want to be a part of
I
the
think
process.
it's just specific words
Yeah.
that may be
Oh,
the line.
words you mean, not the subject.
No, words.
Oh.
I
It
think
was
we're fri-
professional terminology.
Reach
This-
around.
This was my idea, and I don't work for y'all, so you guys are all safe. You're all
Nah,
safe.
that's
Don't
not
worry
how
about
Fall Guys work.
There's no
You're
fall
not
guy.
the one who will get in trouble.
You can ask. Yeah, you can ask David. David, whenever something happens, there's a fall guy.
and it's not at your level.
And I'm in the back row today, so it's not me.
I would say,
Let's fire the bat boy. Fire the bat boy.
I would say that Chris would have an issue, but for the relationship he has with Dan,
So it'll be me.
I think it really becomes all about Jeremy.
Yep. More likely
Jeremy,
than not.
Jeremy, way to take that charge,
Fall
baby.
Guy Award.
Take that charge,
take
Jeremy.
it.
Do your bid with a smile, dog.
I like working with you guys, all of you. I like how efficient we are.
I
like
got
the
another
variety.
award. Premature Sentimentality Award
Oh,
goes
yeah,
to David
David.
Samson.
Well, it's our last day.
Yeah.
It's our last day together because you're blowing off tomorrow.
No, you
No,
don't.
today's
You don't,
Wednesday.
you don't know
It's
your days
Wednesday.
of the week.
Today is Wednesday.
Yeah, we got one more.
We got one more.
Let's go for the I don't know how to count award.
Oh, I've got some guest
All
ideas for
right.
tomorrow.
Bring back April.
Shout out to the Dangling Feet Award, David
Dangling
Samson.
Feet, David.
You're cleaning
up
up.
today. He's
You are
cleaning up.
cleaning up.
I need a new chair for
Several
tomorrow.
time award winner.
I need to be in a new chair tomorrow. Shake his hand, you get a little tickle.
That's another award.
I think we've learned that getting a little tickle is good.
All right, I'd like to award David Samson the "We gave him too many awards and now he's heat checking" award.
Heat check award. Heat check award. I got a new chair for you. I got a award, David Samson. The tomorrow you're in the shipping container.
Oh!